Hey everyone, Mark from Top Homeowner, and today we're going to be covering the Rachio 3. This is actually a 1-year review video. We've owned this for a year. So we wanted to give you a follow-up video and a review as to what we think about this now and whether or not we would purchase it again. Also, there were a lot of questions from the first video, so we wanted to answer those questions in this follow-up. So the biggest question is, now that we've owned this for a year, would we actually purchase it again? And we'd have to say, yes, we would purchase it again. We all the time see our neighbors watering their own lawns because their manual controller is set to water at certain times of the day and at certain frequencies, and no matter what the weather is, they're still going to be running. With our controller, we don't have that problem because it's tied into the internet and it understands the weather patterns for our area. So if we've had enough rain in our area, then the sprinkler system is smart enough to know to skip a watering, and it will pick back up when it's time. We also get a water bill that gives us an annual usage report. Based off of those reports, we can also tell that we've been saving money there because we haven't been using as much water to water our lawn. And in fact, we actually had an issue with our sprinkler system where it had a leak. Now, we were able to figure that out because of the Rachio unit and our water bill. We were able to see when the Rachio unit was running and what days we were spending a lot of money on our water consumption. And we were able to figure out that because those two things weren't matching up, we actually had a leak that needed to be taken care of. So we were able to save money there as well by cutting back on our water usage and fixing the leak. Now, I also want to talk about some of the questions that you all had from the first installation video. So I wanted to cover those in this video and help you make the best decision as to whether or not this unit is a good choice for you or if you should look for something else. Hey, so another question came in after I recorded this video, and I want to go ahead and address it before I publish the video instead of having to do yet another recording. So basically the question was, will this still work if there's no internet or there's no Wi-Fi connection? And the answer is that it will. And this is directly from Rachio and their help desk, their customer support. And they say that as long as there is already an existing schedule in the Rachio unit, so as long as it's already been watering the grass and you've got everything set up, then it will continue to follow that same schedule. So as long as there's something in there to run, it's going to continue to run that even if there's no Wi-Fi connection or there's no internet. Will this unit modify the schedule based off of weather? And the answer to that is yes. It ties into the internet. It knows what weather patterns are for your area, and if the water schedule needs to be paused or skipped for one or more times, it will take care of that automatically. Can you control this from anywhere, or do you have to be at home? Well, since this is actually connected to the internet and it uses a smartphone app, then yeah, you can pretty much control it from wherever you are. This is something that has come up from a question we had about a secondary home that was located in another area. And even if you have multiple houses, you can control everything from one app. You just have to select that house. You can modify the schedule, see if it's run, and all those things directly from the app, no matter where you are. And speaking of the app, another question that came up was whether or not you could control this from the unit itself or if you have to use the app to make it work. So you can change the settings on this. There's not a lot of features that you can do, but you can run it, you can pause it, you can switch zones, and you can stop it from watering straight from this controller. Can you give access to someone else to be able to control your sprinkler? And the answer is you can. You can either set them up as a guest where they can just kind of pause and skip schedules. You can also set them as an owner, I believe it's called, or an administrator of your sprinkler system, so they can actually change the scheduling for you. And the biggest question is, when you sell your house, can you transfer the ownership of this unit to the new homeowner? And yes, you can. There are actually a couple ways you can do that. If you're the homeowner and you're getting ready to sell your house to someone else, you can go into the app and you can actually select the option to get rid of your profile, so that way the new homeowner can register themselves. The other option that you have is if you've purchased a new house that has a Rachio unit and the previous homeowner didn't do that, you can contact Rachio directly. And what they'll do is they'll go through a process, and it takes about 24 hours to change ownership from the previous homeowner to you. So no matter if the previous homeowner gave you access to the sprinkler system, you can still get access to it and control it and set it up the way you want. Will this work in a desert climate, or will this work in a cold climate, or whatever climate that you're living in, will this work in that area? And again, since this is connected to the internet and it understands your weather patterns, it knows how to control the schedule based off of the area that you live in. Also in the app, you can tell it what type of conditions exist for each of the zones that you set up in the app. So if you're watering shrubs, or if you're watering soil that's a little bit more sandy, then you can control that in the app. You can tell it what you have. You can even tell it if a zone is on a hilly area or a flat area, so it will adjust and accommodate different watershed scenarios too. Can you turn off the entire system, or can you just turn off the zones, or can you not turn it off at all? And the fact is, it's really flexible. You can turn off the entire thing. You can pause it. We just pause it for the winter, for example. You can also tell it to not water specific zones, or you can even have it start up and water a specific zone or your entire yard that's off schedule. So it doesn't have to depend on the schedule that's set in the unit. You don't have to change the schedule to water your lawn. You can actually just go and start it manually, either from the app or from the control panel itself. Does this have any issues with the Wi-Fi connection? There were a couple of questions that came up in regards to Wi-Fi. One was, what do I do if I don't have a Wi-Fi connection in my garage? Will this still work? And the answer to that is you really do need to have a wireless signal in your garage. If it can't connect to your Wi-Fi, then it's not going to do you a whole lot of good, because you're not going to be able to control it from the app. So you'll either need to get a router that has a larger broadcast area that can actually hit the spot in your garage where this is installed, or you're going to have to move the router a little bit closer so you can get a good signal. Those are the things that I would probably recommend. Another question came up was about a wireless mesh network and whether or not that would work as well. So if you're not familiar, a wireless mesh network is basically a wireless router that has other little routers that you can plug into different parts into your house, and it repeats the signal to extend it. Some people have had issues with the wireless mesh system, and I'm not sure if that's an issue with the Rachio controller or the wireless mesh units themselves, but that's something you should be aware of, that you can't necessarily extend the wireless mesh network in your house to be able to access the Rachio unit. Some people have been fine with it, other people have not. We actually have a wireless mesh system in this garage to help extend the signal just a little bit, and in our experience it's been fine, but it could just depend on what brand that you're using in your house. Another question that came up is, what information does Rachio collect when you use their service? And I'll actually leave a link in the description below that will take you to their terms and conditions and their privacy policy, so you can see this information for yourself. But the fact is, they do collect a lot of information about you, everything from your name and email address, so that way you can use the application and the service, to your zip code, so that way they know what location you're in, so they can adjust for weather patterns and things like that. So if this is something that is concerning to you, then you should be aware that these things exist in their service. Hopefully I answered all your questions. If I didn't, please leave me a comment below and I will try to answer your questions as soon as I can. Also, if you haven't already subscribed to the Top Homeowner channel, then we would highly recommend that you do that, because we cover all kinds of topics on this channel, everything from product reviews to home repair items, and just everything that you need to be the best homeowner that you could possibly be. Thanks for watching this video, and we'll see you in the next one.